Okay.
It's we are live over here. All right, let's get our little intro going.
Monday morning, kids ready for school. Put on a face, he's been a fool. Said he's sorry, I left my keys. Put on a smile, so they don't see. Kids in the backseat, singing to the radio.
Hey, welcome.
Oh, hello.
Ah, my favorite time of the week.
Good old Tuesday.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you, Monday kind of rolled over for me into Tuesday, so it's more like Moose Day.
Moose Day. I like it. Oh my goodness.
If something could break at work, it did.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness. I had such an interesting weekend this weekend, I'll have to tell you. So, how was your weekend?
Not bad. I got to relax. So I worked a little bit. I worked half a day Saturday and then pretty much all day Sunday, and then the rest of the time I spent trying. I'm still trying to get all the artists up on the web page. So I spent the rest of the night trying to get that done, and I still didn't get it done. But I'm working through it.
That's all right. You'll get there one step at a time.
It's like I get enough time to do like one or two, and then somebody will hit me up with a whole nother problem, whether it be work or social media or something, and then I'm like squirrel, and I'm gone.
I understand that. I have a few squirrels that live in my house. So it's like the moment that I sit here and try to focus on something, 3 other squirrels just ran off with the project. So I get it.
Yep.
Oh.
I will look a little bit different next Tuesday though.
Oh, okay.
I still will be fat, but I'm now going to be wearing glasses. I am joining the world of blind.
The world of the glasses.
Yep. So
I got
sunglasses and regular glasses coming.
And that's okay because you're going to be able to see, and that's what counts. I'm still at that stage where, okay, being in the eye field for so many years, I've always told people, just wait till you get in your 40s because you're going to need bifocals. And they're like, oh, I ain't going to need nothing. I have never worn any glasses. I'm not going to never need glasses. Then they're creeping back in at 40 and they're going, I can't read the small print, So I'm at the stage where I wear contacts. And I actually have to take my contacts out to read up close now.
Yeah.
And take my glasses off to read. And then for like my intermediate computer distance, I have to put my glasses on because I can't see with my contacts on with my computer. It's a mess. And then far away, I can wear my contacts, but if I have to see my speedometer, I can't read it. And I'm not ready to make the bifocal leap yet. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to own it.
I hope so, Brian, because me and the eye doctor didn't see eye to eye. That's I didn't even realize it, but yeah, we definitely did not see eye to eye. We were good until the whole picking out glasses part.
Oh yeah,
that even went good. It was when they never stopped poking on the calculator to give me that price.
Oh yeah.
I said, oh no, I'm gonna go online and get them.
There's so many things that come along with that. You got to get the frames, then you got to get the lenses, then you got to get the anti-reflective coating, and you want the polycarbonate and the scratch resistant, and do you want transitions or do you want clear? There's so many things that it's like, these are just magnification for my eyeballs.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be so expensive?
Yeah.
So trust me, I understand. It's definitely. It's a lot to take in, especially when you're doing glasses for the first time and having to do that. So
Yeah,
Well,
their math didn't work out either because originally that's what it was going to be was transitions.
oh
And
yeah.
then she was like, the price is $508 after your insurance. And I was like, huh. And she said, well, the transitions is what's getting you. It's 300 and some dollars by itself.
Holy
I
moly.
said, well, just go to single vision. And she redid it all. And she said, okay, the total is now 440. I'm like, you took something off that was 300, but the
Yeah.
price dropped like $80.
Oh my goodness.
I
They would
don't
have
I don't understand.
it doesn't, none of this makes any sense.
I said,
Oh my goodness. Well, I will tell you, transitions, if you haven't worn them before, they're very picky choosy. Either you like them or you don't. Because what happens is the UV ray in the windshield of your car does not protect you with the transitions. So they will not darken. And then when you come out of the car and the sun hits, they will darken. And then you go into the store and they take about a minute to come back to normal. So then you're walking around with sunglasses on while you're in the store going, why is everything so dark in here?
turn on the damn lights.
Boy, I did not like them.
Yeah, I didn't get them. I got single vision because I got a single vision kind of wallet. So
hey, I feel you there. Anti-reflective coating is the best thing, though. I'm telling you that
I did get that.
will eliminate all the glare, especially driving at night in the rain. Because if you're like me, I can't see, and you probably don't want to be on the road with me in the rain, in the dark. It's not a good thing.
Yeah. So how was your weekend?
Woo! My weekend was really good. So the Vintage Vixens, we had our first event. Well, actually, it was my first event, not theirs. But we went to a VFW in South Carolina, and we did a birthday party performance for a World War II veteran that turned 100 years old. And it was the coolest thing. Everybody dressed up in, kind of like the World War II attire and time frame. They had a young Mr. Fox, because his name was Mr. Fox, and they had a young Mr. Fox, and then they had him. And it was just an incredible experience to be a part of. I was actually one of the flag girls that night. So that was a lot of fun. Part of the Vintage Fiction show is that we do everything to honor our veterans. We do everything to honor each branch of service as well. And so they have the song that they do where we come out and we get to hold the flag up and honor, Navy, Army, Coast Guard, Marines, like all of that. And so it was a really, really neat thing to be a part of. And then I got to meet Mr. Fox. I got to take pictures with him and tell him thank you for his service. And there was actually 2 other veterans there that were also World War II veterans as well. And so I got to take pictures with them. And one of them had the whole getup on, and he was just smiling from ear to ear because he had beautiful women all around him.
I bet.
Wife was like, let me take pictures with everybody. And she was so excited and so on board with it. It was really cool. But
that's awesome.
The driving, the driving to the VFW was a couple hours for me, which was fine. I had to stop at the gas station. Okay. This is where my day got interesting. So I stopped at the gas station to put some gas in the car and, get going, have a snack and whatever. And I went to throw some stuff away in the trash can, and I threw my keys in the trash can. And I'm going to tell you what, I sat there and I went, son of a bitch. Like I said it loud too. And people turned around and looked at me. Then I realized that I drew attention to myself and that everyone's now going to know that I have to go trash digging in the trash hole for my keys. So I'm sitting there like looking around, trying to make sure no one's actually paying attention while I stick my arm like elbow deep into the trash can, fumbling around to get my keys so they don't keep going. You know how like when you move trash around, they they have a tendency to keep going farther down. I thought, oh my God, if these things go to the bottom, I'm going to have to get in there. Like there's no way to go anywhere. Like I'm going to be stuck. And so luckily I only had to go elbow deep and I got my keys out. And oh my goodness, it was a hot mess. That's the first time I've ever done that though in my 40 years of life. So I guess that's not too terrible.
So where I work, after you get off, before you leave, you have to shower, right? And they give us these coveralls to wear. And one day I drove all the way home, showered, threw my coveralls in the dirty bin, and headed to the house. Drove 52 miles and walked in my door. And as soon as I walked in, I patted my pockets. I
Oh.
left my damn wallet in those coveralls.
Oh
that I threw.
no.
So I drove 52 miles back to work and then had to go dumpster diving and pulling all these sweaty coveralls out till I found my wallet.
No.
So I can relate.
Oh goodness. I tell you what. And I'm at the point where I'm like, if something weird's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. It usually is. Like all the odd, strange situations in life, they generally happen to me.
Yeah.
So, but what can you do? You got to laugh. You got to be like, at least I got my keys out. At least I didn't have to go in the trash can, because at that point it was desperation. So, you look at it, you laugh, and you move on.
I can just imagine the people that just joined us and they're like, get in the trash can. What?
Right? Yes. I like to trash dig once in a while. It's kind of one of my little hobbies.
Look, I've heard leftover Hardee's is the best Hardee's you can have.
Oh, Lord. Got to get them day old French fries.
That's it, Sop them up with the soda that's at the bottom of the can.
Oh, yeah. You got to get that extra flavor going.
So today's episode, military spouses.
Yes.
This could get interesting.
It could.
So
I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of things to say on this topic.
So let me start why I said we should do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is just my belief. I know in the Army, everybody jokes about, military spouses and the free medical and yada yada yada, right? But when you really pull the curtain back, right?
Yeah.
The military spouses, they do have the hardest job. And my wife used to have this sticker that said, military spouse, the hardest job in the Army, right? Mm-hmm. And it's true. And I'm going to tell you why. So this is why I wanted to do the show, because I watched from the other side. Mm-hmm. All right. I may not have seen my problems, but I noticed the scab that was put over my wife from me and from all the deployments. I remember the first deployment I left, and as I was getting on the plane, she was in tears. Mm-hmm. And I remember the last deployment, her rolling over out of bed, said, "All right, I'll see you in a year." And it's because we did it so much.
The mindset that kind of comes between the two.
Yep. It's just like another day at work, see you in a year, and that hardness gets put on the spouses as well. So that's why I suggested, I said, let's do a show. Cause I haven't done, I've done military kids. We had a military brat day, on Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room, but I have not done an episode strictly for spouses. So I think it's time we do that.
I agree. I think it's such an important thing, because there's so many areas that the military spouse is important in, mm-hmm. Not only in the times where her soldier is deployed, but at home with the kids or without kids, with the house, with the daily chores and activities, with, going through the routine of how things used to be, before he was deployed, mm-hmm. and now having to restart everything, having to figure out the plan and how to go on from here and how to move forward. And, there are so many different things. And then you got to take the whole emotional aspect into that, and the whole mental and the physical aspect into that, because, when you're used to something being a certain way for so long, when you're used to your somebody being there all the time, and all of a sudden it's kind of ripped away from you. Right. Yeah. And even though they're still there, they still love you, they still care about you, they're not there physically. And that's a hard thing to go through. You think about, like, people in relationships, right? When you're in love with someone and you're happy, you want to be around them, you want to spend time with them, you want to nurture them, you want to take care of them, you want to, give them affection and love and all those things. And when you can't do that, when you don't have that ability to do that, especially for many, many months out of the year, or even a couple years, that it weighs on somebody, and then not being able to, let's say, and I've had this, just me being a military spouse, back in the day, I know that it was tough when there were times that I would have an emergency. Okay. We'll just say, like, for example, there was one time that I shut my fingers in the garage door. I did 3 of them. And I was stuck down at the bottom of the garage door because they smashed in there, and I was afraid to pull it up because I thought my fingers were going to fall off. It was a really ugly situation. I broke all 3 of my fingers, and I was by myself. He had been gone because he was training in school or something at the time, and I had to figure it out on my own. I had to drive myself to the urgent care center. I had to figure out someone to watch the boys. I had to do all these things that normally I wouldn't have had to do on my own. But in a crisis situation, I had to be there for me, and I had to be there to handle it. And I wasn't able to even call and do the emotional side of things where I'm like, I'm so upset right now. I'm hurting. I'm pissed, whatever it might be, because he wasn't there to take the phone call, And so I think as a military spouse, and I have some incredible women here as well that I would love, 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 love to bring on the show at some point and get that they are military spouses. One of them is, she's just an amazing woman, and she has been, with her husband through all of it, through him being deployed, through having to move several times, through having to go through so many different things to get, others' perspectives as well. But I think it definitely is tough. And as a woman, I know there's some that are, male military spouses as well, of course. But as a woman, we are emotional creatures. We are people that we need that nurturing and that comfort. And, when you're having to go get it from, your best friend or your aunt or your parents or anything, because your person isn't right there to be able to talk to, even if it's just for a moment, it's really, really tough to go through. It's growing a pair of balls, honestly, and being able to stand up and stick it out.
Yeah. Cause, I know my wife knew. I mean, there was times that I would talk to her and I would say, hey, I just let you know, I got to go to work for a while. There's going to be a couple of days that you're not going to hear from me, yada, yada, yada. And she knew what that meant, but I had to make a choice. Do I tell her that, or do I tell her nothing and she just worries?
Yeah.
And so at least I felt like if I told her that I wasn't going to be able to talk for a couple of days or whatever, she at least knew. Just because I didn't call doesn't mean bad stuff,
Right.
So yeah, I get that, and I also think there's a difference too. So the family support group systems, right? I guess now they call them family readiness groups.
FRG.
They you can kind of tell the spouses that are there for the soldier.
Yeah.
When you go to those meetings. You get the ones that the soldier had to go, so he drug his wife because the chain of command made the soldier go. And then you get the ones that volunteer, and that's their social group. That's their lifeline, and there's not usually any middle ground. Very rarely do you get somebody that just wants to go get the information and go home. You're either all in or you don't want nothing to do with it.
That's so true. So true. So when I was the FRG leader, there were a lot of soldiers that it was like pulling teeth to get them to get involved with the FRG. Yeah. Nobody wanted to get involved with that. Nope. They're like, oh, well, it's just another thing where we're going to be there, for a short period of time until the commander's wife leaves or someone else leaves or whoever, because rotating, in and out. and things like that, it's tough to make a connection with somebody when you keep getting rotated. And so I noticed that being the FRG leader, that some people wanted nothing to do with it. Others, their wives would be like, come on, let's go to this. Let's be a part of this. Let's get involved. They also had some other groups too that were pretty neat, that they would be like workshops for husbands and families and things like that. And so you'd go away for a fun weekend and they'd talk about family building exercises, and they'd talk about, coping mechanisms for when your soldier is deployed, and coping mechanisms for when your soldier comes back home, and, how to include the children, how to include the family in those things. But you're right. There actually was quite a few that were just very, very reluctant to become a part of things. And I had a small group of Army wives that I really, really connected with, and are really still my sisters to today, that were very involved in helping and trying to get our soldiers excited about, hey, we're here for you. We're here to help you through. We're here to support. We're here to bring the families together. And that's what it's really all about is, FRG does a lot of different things. Bringing the families together is one of them. Helping them financially, guiding them in certain aspects of their life. If there are certain tiers of things that they need, it's our job to kind of help guide them in those directions for those tiers.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I did notice, is that a lot of people would be reluctant to come to you to ask for help, to ask for guidance, to be a part of that. So,
and I think some of that is that stigma of, because I'm going to speak for a moment on the other side of the coin, right? Mm-hmm. As a leader in the military, occasionally you have to deal with those spouses that are not all about the military. Mm-hmm. They think that everything is catered to them. And I can give you a for instance, I had a soldier of mine come to me and ask me a question I've never heard before in my life. How do I get my wife enrolled in high school? I said, high school? I said, how old's your wife? He said, 18. He said, she dropped out of school, and I want her to go back to high school to get her degree. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool, man. So I did all this legwork to figure out what he had to do. Mm-hmm. Got his wife enrolled. Come to find out, it was only a plot to get other girls to come home and them have threesomes with high school girls.
Oh my.
Right? How did this all come out? He was smoking weed. They got into a fight. And when he left, she called the MPs, the chaplain, the first sergeant, everybody.
Oh, wow.
And said, my husband's out buying drugs. I can't get him to stop.
Wow.
And so when he came back, they were all sitting in their house. They arrested him. Mm. So this is in Germany. So now that the husband is arrested, the spouse, she's not accompanied anymore. Therefore, she can't stay there. She has to. They have to fly her back to the States and move her out of the country. So she was having car problems, and I told her, I said, bring your car up to the motor pool. I'll fix it for you. And she came up there, and then stood there and was like, "Are you done yet? How long is this going to take?" I just finally walked away. I said, "You can go have somebody else do it."
Yeah.
And I think that stigma, when the chain of command deals with those kind of wives that are doing nothing but trying to get the soldier in trouble, trying to cause problems, mixes with that whole FRG thing. And that's, I think that does kind of push ones that potentially could use FRG and would use it for the way it's supposed to be,
Well, I think, and that's another thing too, is that, this is something that I ran into personally a few times with just some of the different soldiers that were in our unit and everything. And we would get women that they were not kind. Okay. So when, let's say he was in training, or he was at AT, or he was, they were in Japan, whatever it might be, there would be this demand that, some of them could reach out, okay, while people are deployed, and they would get these messages from their wives to their girlfriends that are like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you figure anything out? Why did you leave all this shit for me to do? Why did you do this? Can't you figure this out? I'm going to go date your friend, or, I'm going to do this, or guess what? I want a divorce, or, I want to separate, or we need to do this, and this, or you suck as a person. Why did I ever? So some people, military spouses, don't have, that understanding of respect for people in general. Yeah. Like when your soldier is deployed, you don't attack. You don't sit there and, it's one of the worst times to ask for the separation, because you don't know what he's going through there. He needs to be focused on the mission. He needs to be focused on everything that's going on, and not be having extra stress and pain and concern and worry, because he's got that already, right? About what's going on back at home. Yeah. And so that is one thing I really try to instill in the ladies that I had. And it was that, hey, I know you're frustrated. I know you found this out, or I know this is what you want to do, or I know you're at a point where you're ready to like break it off, or you want to yell at him because he didn't fix this, and this, and he left you with all of it. I get it. I know it's frustrating. I know it's hard. I've been there. I've got left with things not getting done, things not being taken care of, this happening, that happening, plumbing issues, like you name it. And I'd be stuck with all of it. And I'm like, well, I can make a choice. I can call and I can yell at him and tell him what a piece of shit he is, and that, he sucks, and that he screwed me. And now I have to figure all this out on my own. And, you're 5,000 miles away, and I can't do anything. Or I can sit here and go, you know what? It's already happened. The situation's taken place. Now let's find a solution. Let's find a solution to the problem instead of making the problem worse. And so that's just how my mindset works. And so that was one thing I really tried to instill in the ladies, is that if you have something upsetting or something frustrating or just not kind or whatever it is to say, hold it while he is gone, while he is overseas, while he's at AT, while he's whatever it might be, right? Training, school. Do not do it then, because he's helpless there. He cannot do anything. He cannot change the situation. He cannot change the atmosphere. He cannot come home and help. He cannot fix it. So, that's one thing. And it really results back to how you speak to somebody. Yeah. How you speak to somebody. And it in turn also turns into when he comes home. When someone comes home, they don't want to be yelled at, attacked, walk into an empty home, walk into, whatever the situation might be. And because he's coming home from being somewhere for so long on a pause to coming back to thinking everything should be exactly the way I left it. Yep. And when it's not exactly the way I left it, then everything's going to be thrown into chaos, right? Because now you're like, okay, what happened? I was gone for, 18 months, whatever it might be, and I'm coming back to this. And so I think it really, really has to do with communication and being respectful and understanding the times to communicate properly and the times that you hold your tongue, and you wait. So.
And so one of the problems I had, right? Deployments are already an emotional roller coaster to begin with. The cycle that you're on really does play effect in how your personal life is. The closer it gets ramped up, the more stressful you get, the more agitated you get. And then you like a switch goes off and you become focused on the deployment, and you start slowly detaching yourself from your household. And then you go and you do your thing. You come home a year later. And for me, one of the toughest things was having young kids that didn't remember me, and they would pull away when I would try to give them a hug, or, they were scared of me. And then, after getting through that stage, when I was home, I was the corrector and the punisher, and Mama was there to wipe the noses and everything else. And when the deployments really started hitting, that had to stop. She became the punisher, the lover, the everything, and she made the decisions in the house. And you know, I didn't know our household was changing that way. And then I would come back home and it would be my way or the highway. And then next thing I know, we're fighting because, I'm telling the kids they could do something or they can't do something that she normally lets them do or don't do.
Right.
And it took me a while just to realize, look, I don't
And
wear
you're
the
going,
pants.
why are they listening to her instead of me? I'm the
Yep.
man of the house. I'm the boss here. But now
Yep.
they're doing what she said. Yeah, I get that.
It took me a while just to swallow my pride and say, you know what? I don't run this house. I am gone more than I'm here. So, and it's tough, and the other thing too, soldiers have avenues. They have the chaplain that they can go to. They have counselors, and I say they can in loose sense. Yes, we all know there is issues if you go. You're going to be labeled and everything else, but they have these resources that they can reach out when they're stressful or whatever. Counselors, it goes on and on and on. FRG is it for spouses.
Mm-hmm.
You either have to go through TRICARE and go see a shrink, or if you're not religious, you don't feel comfortable talking to the chaplain, because you feel like the word chaplain means it's a preaching session, and the soldiers know that chaplains are also counselors, and
Right.
so I think I think at the cycle times of deployments, they really should bring in teams for the spouses.
I agree.
And not rely on the FRG, because the FRG leader has a family and she's dealing with those same things too. And to have to put on that, oh, I understand how your problem is. I get it. The car's broke. I know, so bad. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can do something to help you. But meanwhile, your plumbing's gone, your car's down, money's tight, and you have to hide all those issues to comfort somebody else,
Yep.
And so I don't think it's right. I think the FRG is a great way to keep spouses informed. It's not a great way to take care of their problems and help with emotional issues, because you're asking other people to do the same thing that they're going through as well.
And I agree with that, because there's been many times that I've honestly had to put on a mask myself and be like, everything's great, everything's fine, let me go ahead and be on the phone with Red Cross for you for 24 hours so we can get to your soldier, or let me be there to listen to you, because I know right now you need somebody, even though, my grass is 18 feet long and my plumbing's out and I have no water, because I've had it happen. Sometimes we have to put on that mask and we have to be strong. And I agree that, and that's, I think, why I bonded with so many of the women and, the spouses and the family and things like that, is because I was that phone call in the middle of the night for the soldier and for the spouse. And, it's, you develop a bond there with the other women when you go through stuff like this. And sometimes, everybody also has their own personality. Okay. So you deal a lot with different types of personalities. And as the FRG leader, we want to be here for every single person that has a spouse that's deployed, or every single person that has a spouse that's at AT, or, when they went to Japan or whatever it might be. So it's our job to be there, to listen, to support, to help you through. And, it is tough, because everybody has their own way of thinking, their own mindset, their own way of communicating, their own way of handling things. So, for me, I always had to be like the neutral ground. So everyone felt like they could come to me. That's why I became a town therapist. Everyone felt like they come to me and talk to me, because I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, you're kind of being an asshole, so I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't like you anymore. Because there's a lot of that,
it's
you're
clicky.
not cool enough. Yes, it is. And so it kind of reminds me of high school, honestly.
It does. Yep.
I will say that I was very proud to announce that, like, with our company, we didn't have that because I didn't allow it. And I had a, very tight knit group of women that was just really, really good, amazing people. So I guess I was very fortunate. But we did get involved in a couple of other FRG events when we went to Atterbury and stuff like that, that we're like, oh, yikes. We did a lunch for all the soldiers one time, and we went down there. We got to drive around and give everybody their lunches and stuff like that. And the other group was just kind of like, oh, well, you are this way and you do this. And I'm just like, hey, we're all here together, literally to come together, as a circle, as a family. We're all in this for the same exact reason, to get our soldiers lunch, right? To do something to support them, let them know we love them, let them know we're here. And so that's what I always, when I was the FRG leader, that's what I really always tried to do, is just really let everybody know that I am a neutral standing person and that I love all of you, and that, I'm going to do my best to hear you out, to listen to you, to be the phone call in the middle of the night. I think another thing too, like with military spouses, when there's an emergency, is really, really tough on them. Myself included, like, I know the chain of command getting through from the Red Cross to, the commander is one of the toughest things in the world to do, because a lot of times they don't have their phones when they're out there. You can't just call up a cell phone like you would if they were back in the States.
Right.
And so I had many times where I had to get on the phone with the Red Cross and I had to fight to get a hold of someone. But, this spouse over here is struggling because, maybe their dog was just hit, or their grandparent just passed, or something tragic just happened. And it's tough because it goes back again to, now they're dealing with that trauma by themselves. They're dealing with that, that situation, that emergency alone. And so we try to gather together and be like, hey, we're here. We love you. But again, it's not your person, so there is so many things that a military spouse being involved from the outside looking in is, people don't understand, I think. And I think a lot of people, especially women, they do get frustrated very easily. They feel unheard very easily. They feel like, why can't this work out the way I want it to? Why can't I get this figured out? Who do I have to go to talk to? Okay, I've got the FRG leader. Well, let's say maybe you don't like your FRG leader, right? And you're right. Who do you have? You've got your therapist, maybe, or you've got, you go to the Army chaplain or what have you. But again, then that's someone that you may not know very well. So then you're sitting here going, I've got all these struggles. How do I deal with them? So I think I think you're right. Having some sort of support program would be amazing. And two, also with your the soldiers coming home from deployment, having something that helps the military spouse understand, especially if it's a first deployment, understand this is how he or she is going to be feeling when they come home.
Yeah. This
is going to be what you're going to experience. Now, I'm going to tell this to you now, and you won't believe it till you see it, but I'm telling you, this is how it's going to be, and preparing them for the isolation, preparing them for the times that he is going to need to go through he or she is going to need to go through their own struggles, their own pain, and may not be the same person they were before they left.
Yeah.
So preparing, because I don't think that is out there, any type of preparedness program for spouses, to be like, listen, this is what you need to understand. Things are going to take time. You can get it back. You can get back on track. And, many military spouses out there that have gone through this time and time again are, kind of like veterans in that area, where they can say, okay, we've developed a routine. So, when he deploys and he comes back, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take things slow. We're going to take it one step at a time, one moment at a time. I'm not going to get upset if he's not as like comforting and compassionate as he used to be or she used to be. And I think preparing people for that, I think a lot of people don't understand the detachment mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally that happens when the deployment occurs,
Yeah.
and so they come back thinking, why don't you love me? Why don't you want to touch me? Why
Yeah.
don't you want to do these things with me? Why don't you want to spend time with me? Why do you have to be alone? Are you seeing somebody else? Are you talking to somebody else? What's going on? And then it turns into a whole thing instead of, teaching them almost how to start over, how to, yeah, you've been married for 10 years, but you still need to learn from here on out, because now it's a new relationship. It's a
Yeah.
new start. It's a new beginning, so.
And for me, the worst situation was when you're down to your last 2 months before you leave, and that brand new private walks in that's married, 19 years old, wife's 18, 19 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and they know nothing about the military. They don't know the avenues to go through if you're struggling to pay your bills. They don't know how to get medical care. They don't have any clue what an FRG is or any other acronym for that matter. And in 2 months, she's going to be by herself.
Pregnant.
And pregnant probably. If not, she will be when he comes back. It's one of the two.
Yep.
It is not a coincidence that children are born on cycles just like the deployments were, because it happened all the time. But with that being said, I would pull them in and I'd say, look, you're going to have to put your wife through boot camp. I'm going to give you a bunch of information. You need to take it home and talk to her, teach her.
Yeah.
And you two need to have a serious conversation that it might be better for you to send her back home while you're deployed versus her staying here by herself, because I have, as a leader, I have a responsibility to not mix. We know our soldiers. We know which ones are the ones you're going to get a phone call about on the weekend, and which ones you can trust to mentor and coach. And a lot of times that age difference is here, and so it was hard for me to say, hey, let me introduce you to Staff Sergeant so-and-so's wife. Now there's a rank difference, there's a experience difference, and there's definitely an age difference, and it's just tough, man, because, they don't know anything, because the military is complete. It's a whole world, I related it a lot to prison. The only difference is the concertina wire is facing the opposite direction, around the outside, because when you're in there, it whatever's going on outside, if you didn't watch the news, you wouldn't know it.
Right.
Is the economy in a slump? I don't know. I get paid the exact same. Gas is about the same. Commissary food's about the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on out there, and I continue to live my life with no money and getting by, and content, because I have resources that may not be dollar bills, but I have Red Cross and AR and all that stuff, So yeah, I get it, man. It's tough, and I think that's one of the things that destroys the relationships, because that spouse has zero avenues to receive help. She doesn't know who the right people to hang around with, so she's vulnerable to hang around with anybody that'll give her attention.
Yeah.
And that usually ends up to be a bad deal. And then I have to deal with his emotions on the other end, where, the first few months he's good. Month 3, he starts, that homesickness starts coming in. By month 6, now when she doesn't answer the phone, she's instantly screwing everybody. And all these things are running through his mind,
Right.
And it's tough dealing with these small emotions, because I still have to be that dick over there and say, hey, look, I'm going to give you the best advice that I can give you. When you get home, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to. What she did the last year and what you did the last year, 2 different years. Don't talk about it, because she may tell you something you don't want to hear.
Right.
You know, and that was the best advice that was ever given to me when I was coming in AIT, and my first duty assignment was Korea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, drill sergeant pulled us aside and said, "Look, if you want your marriage to work," he said, "when you get home, don't drill her about what did you do, who have you been with, and what have you been doing while I was gone." He said,
Right.
"'Cause she might tell you something you don't want to hear." He said, "If you're happy with the other person and she's happy with you, don't worry about it. She did what she did, you did what you did, and now you can go on about your life." You know, and it's true. You know, you either have trust or you don't.
Right.
And I think it's tough because you have to be hard over there, and then he comes home, and just like you said, everything's different.
Mm-hmm.
She's had to mature a different way. You know, maybe there's
she's had to learn to do a lot of stuff on her own and be
Yep.
her own hero for quite some time.
Yep. And maybe there's sex and stuff for a while, and it feels like honeymoon all over again, but then that quickly dries down and goes away. And just like you said, the emotions are gone.
Yeah.
You know, because the soldier starts getting it from the other end now. He was with
Right.
these guys, and they were tight. After work, they were with each other. They went to the gym together. I mean, I hate to put it this way, but those guys became your significant other.
Right.
You know, those were your brothers. And then you come home, and that bond gets broken. And you don't have the people that are hanging out because now they're with their families. And you try to bring that back, and it just always slaps you in the face. And you just don't understand. You know?
Right.
So there is a ton of emotions that go into a deployment. And to think that an 18, 19-year-old spouse, especially if she's got kids, is ready for it. It's not a rocket science stat of why divorce is so high.
Right. You know, and I think too, like touching on the part with them coming home. Oh, that's weird. With them coming home, is how do you deal as a spouse with him or her having PTSD? You know, all of a sudden, you know, you're dealing with him, he's withdrawn or she's withdrawn. The affection, like I said earlier, the affection's not the same, the compassion's not the same. The love seems to be like a different person altogether. And the person needs his space or her space. And you're over here as a spouse just going, why don't you love me? Why don't you want to touch me? Why don't you want to spend time with me? What's wrong with you? Why are you getting mad? Why are you blowing up? Why are you punching walls? Why are you drinking so much? You know, what is going on inside of you that's making you act this way? And instead of a lot of spouses coming to their significant other and sitting down and saying, hey, I want to let you know I love you. I want to let you know that I'm here for you. I want to let you know that I'm going to go through this with you. We're going to get through it together on whatever form it might take, whether it's therapy, whether it's us talking, whether it's us taking things step by step, you know. But if they're not prepared for that, if they don't know what's coming because let's say they're a new spouse or new to the military life or whatever it might be, or, you know, they haven't prepared for it, they're not going to know what hit them. And that too is where I feel like military spouses could really use, honestly, support and a workshop and someone, you know, other people that have gone through it to say, let me tell you what's going to happen. Okay. When you talk to somebody, and this is with anyone with PTSD, anyone with depression, anyone with mental health issues, you don't come at them and say, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, why are you effing everything up? Why are you angry all the time? Why are you drinking constantly? Why don't you want to do this? Why, you know, the way you come at somebody, no matter who it is, whether it's in the military, whether it's in life, if you come at somebody attacking, if you come at somebody being nasty and disrespectful and mean and angry, that person's immediately going to start lashing out, immediately going to close up their shell. They're not going to feel safe around you. They're not going to feel like they can talk to you or they can open up. And that window of communication just went like this, and it's
Yep.
gone. And so I feel like if military spouses could have that, almost that workshop, that training ahead of time to say, listen, the way you keep your marriage, the way you keep your relationship is the way you talk to somebody, the way you handle a situation, the way you communicate.
Yep.
And if people were able to see that, okay, I can't attack him, he's been attacked enough, or she's been attacked enough, I can't come at him and accuse him, because that's not going to help anything. That's just going to shut down the window of opportunity for this person to open up to me and tell me what's really going on, or if I attack the drinking or pills or whatever it might be. Like, you come at them saying, why the hell do you drink every night? What's wrong with you? You're a drunk. You're just you suck as a person. Like, that person is not going to get any better. They're not going to heal. They're not going to find a way to get through their trauma. They're not going to find a way to be able to move forward in their life, in their relationship. And that's why a lot of relationships crash, because people don't want to take the moments to understand and be able to just be like, okay, we're going through this together. We're going to get through this together. We're going to talk it out. We're going to work it out. I'm going to be there for you. And I'm going to be there every day with respect and kindness and compassion and grace. And when you're ready to finally open up to me, if ever, I'm here, but until then, we're going to slowly work on that. And I feel like people give up. They give up, and they get to the point where, I've heard a lot of women just say, in general, with like me talking about, because I'm a huge men's mental health advocate, so like talking about men's mental health, they bottle everything up inside, right? They hold on to it until it blows, and then it burns those around him, and it burns him, and it burns the person over here, and it's a mess, right? Well, a lot of women will say, well, I supported and I listened and I was there and I did everything I could, but he still went out and did this, and this, and he still drank, he still did this, or she still did this, or whatever. And like, I did my best to be there, and I just got tired of it. I just got tired of trying to support. I got tired of trying to listen. I got tired of trying to, understand what's going on. And the thing is I think people just get tired. They give up, and they say, you know what? I've tried so many times to help, to be there, to listen, to support, and I can't do it anymore. So how do you take that and give somebody like that hope to keep going, to keep fighting for?
And I can tell you why this happens, because everything that you just talked about happens in a 90 to 120 days.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you're talking about happens in that shorter period, because what happens about that time frame? That's when the rumors come out. Hey, did you hear? We're getting orders. We're going to be deploying here in 8 months, 6 months, 7 months, whatever. And that spouse is still like, oh, the fuck no, I'm not going through this shit again.
Right.
Because she's dealing with something that's completely new, and you give her 90 days, and then you say, oh, by the way, here in 6, 7 months, he's going to be gone for another year. You think he was fucked up the first time? Wait till the second time, And that's, I've always been a big advocate about it. And if I could change anything in the military, that is one thing that I would change. I don't know, I look, even I don't care any soldier. There's no soldier out there that could tell you, oh, I knew the first time I went to Afghanistan, this was going to be a 20-year war. Nobody thought that.
Right.
But to take soldiers and just constantly ram their asses into the sand and not give a shit about their well-being, their problems, it is no wonder why there's so many issues. By that second or third deployment, the next time they come back, the house has been packed up and she's just gone. Bank account's empty. And now old Sarge has to deal with a soldier that can't eat. He has no money. The bill collectors are calling. He has to live in the barracks, and his whole life is shit.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, and then by the way, here in 8 months, you won't have to worry about a place to go. You're gonna be sleeping on a cot in fucking Iraq. You know. And so, yeah, I do get why all this happens, because there is no time to sort through it.
Right.
You know, the first week is great, maybe 2 weeks. You know, by the month range, you're getting into what you think is normal. I get up, I go to PT, I go to work, I come home, I eat, dinner's ready, life is great.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, she's like, why am I doing this? You don't even appreciate me no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you're not connecting anymore.
Yeah.
And then at that 90-day point, the rumors start flying about where you're going. Hell, there's been times that before I came back, I knew we were getting orders. I just never told my wife.
Yeah.
You know? And so that same thing that you were talking about, sometimes you just got to know when to say things and how to say them. You know? It was the same on our side too, because I knew she's not going to be ready to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
It's definitely a tough road, and I really do think like having some workshops would be so important. You know,
Yep.
and not just for the spouse, but also for the soldier. Also for the soldier coming back. Like, okay,
Yep.
you know, yeah, you've just gone on your first deployment and now you're coming back. And now what? Now you're just thrown out into the wind and go figure life out from here on out. You know, it's you're going back to reality, which really isn't reality, right? You know, and you're starting all over again. And they're like, here, have some VA benefits that you'll get 17 years down the road. And here, you know, if you have mental health issues, here's some pills that you can start taking to help cope with, you know, everything that you're going through. And then other than that, we'll see you in 9 months because you're going out again.
Yep.
You know, and like, where's their support? Where's their, you know, time to come back and decompress? And like, I know you guys do, like, you have the decompression where you talk to somebody and you have the therapy and you have, you know, the things that you go through after the deployment and things like that. But like, where is the support there? Where is the workshop there? Where is the, okay, no, this was your first deployment and now you're back and, you know, you're 19 and you're newly married and now you have a baby here that you didn't even get to meet, you know, when the baby was born because you were overseas. So how do you start? How do you start over? How do you cope from here on out? Yeah. You know, what are you going to be dealing with? What experiences are you going to have with your PTSD? You know, of course, everybody's different, but like, these are the things that you may experience. And when, you know, you do come to this point where you are feeling like this, or you are seeing this, well, let me tell you about, you know, this program that's available that, you know, you and all your brothers and sisters can go to, or, you know, things like that, like how to cope with different things. So, and I know there's workshops and some stuff out there that does those things. And a lot of times the soldiers are like, screw that. I don't want to go to any more workshops. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to relax. I've been gone forever. I want to go home. I want to start my life over, you know? And then it's that thing that it's like, how do I put my tail between my legs in some cases and allow myself the help without looking, again, like you said, with the judgment side of things, without looking like I'm weak, without looking like, you know, I have some mental instability going on, without looking like, you know, I am going to lose it or whatever it might be, you know, like how do they find those types of programs that are non-judgmental, you know, like AA, NA, right? You can go there and you can tell your story and you can talk about, you know, what it is that's going on, and no one in there judges you. You're not, you know, you're not coming out going, your boss is going, oh, you went to an NA meeting. I know you did. And, you know, how dare you be an alcoholic and this, that, and the other. But when you're in the military and you go and you get assistance from the VA, right? Or you go get assistance somewhere else, you're labeled something, and it goes on to your, you know, your record or what have you, right? So then that way, then the military knows, your higher ups know, oh, okay, so he's having some mental instability here, or he's having that here, or he's having this here. And then all of a sudden it's like wildfire. Like everybody knows that you're having some instability issues, right? Or mental health issues or what have you. And it's a hard place to be. And I feel like that's where like the huge stigma is, right? About, you know, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to reach out. It's okay to say, I'm struggling, I'm going through a hard time, you know, and not be judged for it. You know, not be judged for the fact that you're struggling, or you're battling with addiction, or you're battling with your demons, or, you know, you're at a point in your life where you're miserable and you don't know where to turn. You know, that it's okay to reach out. It's okay to ask for help, you know. And I think that's where you come in, and where I come in, and where so many more of us come in to say, listen, we love you. We're not going to judge you. We're here. You know I'm not licensed to be a therapist or anything like that. I have the school of hard knocks, you know, so, but I can be here to listen. I can be an ear to hear. I can be a shoulder, you know. That's the things that we are fighting for, right? To help people know that are silent, and to help the ones know that are afraid to come out and talk, or afraid to let the bottle out open, or, you know, what have you, that it's okay. And you, as a man in the military, as a tough man in the military, are saying, listen, I've struggled. Listen, I've gone through pain. Listen, I've had a military spouse, you know, I have a military spouse, and we've gone through things, and I'm telling you that, you know, this is okay. And together we can get through this. Together we can, you know, talk about things, or open your eyes, or help you to see, you know, that there are ways to get through these things.
Yeah, hell, you're talking to a guy that just talked to his shrink today. I mean, so
That's okay. That's all right, you know.
You know, and
somebody.
You know, and I'll be the first to admit it. You know, I had that same mentality, and it took my wife pushing me in that direction, and a few friends to put me where I need to be. And I got lucky that it worked out. You know, and the first therapist I ever seen, or first psychologist I ever seen, he was taking all my, I'll never forget this, man, because I never thought about it. You know, deployments is what we do. That's the job, you know. And he was like, so what unit were you in? And I said, the 160th. He said, really? He said, I worked a lot with the SEALs. I said, oh, okay. And he started taking the rest of my information down, and he said, so how many deployments do you got? And I said, well, if you count Bosnia, I did 68. And he just stopped and he looked at me and he said, you did 68 months? I said, yeah. He said, ain't no wonder you're fucked up. You know, he said, there should be a law against that. And he's right. I wholeheartedly do agree that there should be a law that after so many months of deploying, you become the expertise in the rear, and you train and you help people going forward, because that's why we have the issues that we have, you know. And I'm not taking away from any other war. I'm only talking about our war, our generation, what we went through.
Right.
And you just can't keep running people in the ground like that.
Right.
You know, and think that everything will be fine when you release them back into population people, and you're not going to have the DUIs, and you're not going to have the drug abuse, and you're not going to have the domestic violence.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane to even think that's going to be reality.
Right. Right. It is, you know, and it's
and these are the scabs that, you know, I said at the beginning, you know, I feel like military spouses get scabbed over too, because this becomes life for them.
It does.
You know, the husband yelling at them, her yelling at the husband, the kids not listening, him not wanting to be a part of the kids, you know, and it just as the years go by, man, that heart gets harder and harder before it finally puts a scab over it to protect itself.
Very true. Very, very true. Well, hopefully the more people start speaking out and the more people start, saying, hey, it's time to make a change. It's time to open people's eyes and make a stop to the way that things are working, and let's try something different. Let's try some different avenues to start helping people, to start helping our military spouses, to start helping find some support,
I agree.
for them and for their families. And, I think,
I lost you.
oh, you got me now?
Yep. I thought you went to go get some coffee or something.
But helping find that support for themselves and their families would be so important. And, that's one thing that I love about this show is just, even just talking, you never know who's out there that needs to hear what we had to say today, or, what you had to say today, or what I had to say today. No, there's somebody out there that needed that message, that needed that encouragement, that needed to know that, okay, maybe I'm going through this for the first time, and dang, I'm not alone, And so I think, little by little, the right people will get the message. And
I think so too.
That's what it's all about. And, maybe down the road, we'll continue fighting. We'll continue speaking. We'll continue talking about this. And, it takes one person to light a match, to fuel a fire, to change the world. And there's a lot of matches lit now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are lighting matches. So we got a fire going.
I agree. Well, this has been a good time, man. I enjoy Tuesdays. I really do.
I do too.
It gets me through. I don't know if you can see this. Let me pull it up here. You guys should do marriage counseling
show. That's so funny. It kind of is like marriage counseling in a way, and that's the funny thing, that I'm not married. Not
called experience.
But it's like, when you know the way to talk to people, and how to teach people how to talk to people, and how to communicate, and how to, live in the 7 things is what I always say. Live in the 7 things, then lives will change all over the place, and I guess that's why I do what I do, is just really trying to teach love, unconditional love. And it comes in so many forms. It comes in that communication. It comes in that respect. It comes in that understanding, and it comes in that patience, kind of like within 1 Corinthians, that's a lot of people, that's their Bible verse that they do for their wedding, like, cause it's the love Bible verse,
Mm-hmm.
Love is patient, love is kind. And when you really think about it, it absolutely is. Love is patient and love is kind. And love is not easy. No matter what you go through in life, love is not easy, but it is one of the most beautiful things that's out there, and that's what I try to really teach. And I try to really help people in general just be able to learn how to communicate and talk to one another. Learn grace is the key. Absolutely.
It is.
And that, that is, sorry, I lost my train of thought. It made me think of what happened last week. But, that is absolutely the key to having communication and an amazing relationship, is the way you treat your spouse through and through,
Yep.
It helps you heal too. It helps you heal mentally and physically and spiritually, emotionally. It helps you to let out those demons. It helps you to let yourself out of your own jail cell, and really start your life over and start fresh.
Well, I think the other thing too, the other stigma that we've got to change with the soldiers is the thought process that I'm overseas protecting my country, and when I come home, I don't talk about what happened because I'm protecting my spouse. And how do you get somebody to understand what's going on if they don't know what it is? And if you can't tell your spouse the issues that you're having,
Yeah.
then there's deeper issues, and you do need somebody better than us, because
Yeah.
you know, you should have thought about that before you got married, because obviously you're not as close as you thought you were,
Right.
and I do get the concept, because I was that guy, but I wasted so many years of my life by holding all that shit in,
Mm-hmm.
to only allow it to become a volcano,
Yeah.
to where my wife's getting in between me and my son because I'm about to hit him, and um then I'm going through counseling, and then it still takes me, I don't know, probably another 4 years before, you know, I would even start talking about it when I'm drinking, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember times where, I told my wife things that had happened, um, soberly, so I knew I told them, and I seen that look on her face, like I I can't believe something like that would even happen, because they don't see what third world countries are really like. But then I seen that same look when we went to dinner with an army buddy of mine, that he was in Georgia for vacation. He was from Nebraska, and we'd gotten mortared together, and you know, he was. I guess he just assumed that I talked about everything with my wife, and that was one of the stories I hadn't brought up. And he was at the dinner table and was like, "Hey, you remember that time we got mortared and everybody dove for the ground?" And my wife just kind of looked over me like, "Man, this shit's real," you know,
Right.
you know. And I think if there was that communication,
Yeah.
you know,
And I feel like, I know we're wrapping it up, but I know, like, on another level to that communication of, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about, I don't want to talk about the trauma. I don't want to talk about the pain. I don't want to talk about my guilt. I don't want to talk about, all these different things that I experienced, witnessed, wasn't able to, you know, get to in time, whatever it might be, right? When your spouse is there saying, I love you, I support you, I want to hear about your life, I want to hear about what's going on. If there's unconditional love there and they truly do love you and they truly do care about you, they want to know all of what's going on. They want to know. And when I think one thing that makes it so hard is because, and I can't say this firsthand because I have not been deployed. I'm not a veteran. I have not experienced this, but from the outside looking in, what I've been able to see is that there's so many moments that aren't talked about and they're just held inside, whether it's guilt. A lot of times it's guilt.
it is.
A lot of times it's trauma. A lot of times it's different things. And when you don't talk about those things, when you don't open up and you don't let them out, that knot just starts to form and that cage closes on your heart and your soul. And that's when you put yourself in your own prison cell. And then slowly but surely, you're going down that spiral into that black hole. And instead of being able to come out to the one that you trust, the one that you love, and say, look, I had these things happen, as hard as it may be, as traumatic as it may be, as struggling as it may be, to talk about the painful things. When you talk about things, it helps you to heal. It truly does. It helps you to open up. It helps you to let it out. It helps you to start to slowly move forward. And yes, it may take a long time, but you're not meant to hold that guilt inside. You're not meant to live with those moments where I couldn't be there, or I witnessed this, or I lost my sisters, or I lost my brothers. I couldn't stop the situation, whatever it might be. Like, you're never meant to sit there and live with it for the rest of your life. And that's what so many veterans do. They live with the trauma. They live with the pain. They live with the guilt that I couldn't be there in time. If I was 2 seconds earlier, if I would have just done this instead of this, and I think truly that's where, in my honest, true opinion, that's where God comes in, because there is a plan for every single one of us. And God is the one that knows the moment that our life is no longer going to be here on this earth.
Yep.
It is not for us to judge. It is not for us to make a choice or a decision in. It is something that no matter the outcome, no matter the situation. If God says this is the time, there's nothing that can be done to stop it. There's nothing that can be done to change the situation. And after the trauma happens, after the pain happens, after the whatever it might be, when you hold that guilt inside, you're living with it for the rest of your life. And it's taking you down a destroying hole that is just going to make you divorced, make you miserable, make you an alcoholic or a drug addict. It's going to make you turn away from people, connections, human contact, all that stuff. And it's going to make you a hermit that's dealing with your battles yourself, that's dealing with the demons on your own, that's fighting alone inside your head, and that's when the bottle comes on and you put that lid on tight and you just let it expand and expand and expand and expand till at some point it's going to blow. And when it blows, that's when you're at that moment where it's like, I got to get help. Or, a lot of them, God forbid, unfortunately, are 22 a day, and that's, I think, for me personally, that's where I want to stop. And I want to say, hey, let's not let it get that far. Let's stop it now. Let's learn how to talk. Let's learn how to communicate. Let's learn how to open up. Let's learn how to take the lid off the bottle. Let's talk about the pain. Let's talk about the trauma. Let's talk about the moments that you're holding that guilt inside, and let's move through it, because there's no point in being miserable for the rest of your life. You don't deserve that. You aren't here to be miserable.
Because all you're going to do is you're missing out on happiness.
Yes.
The sooner you open up and you allow others to come in and help you fight these demons, the faster you're going to get through it.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be dead while you're still alive. That's what I'm going to make a shirt that says that. You don't have to be dead while you're still alive.
That is a good thing. Yep.
You can be alive while you're alive. You can find the light inside you, because you have a purpose here. You have a reason here. If anyone out there today is struggling or going through a hard time, please remember that you belong here and that you matter and that you're loved and that you are worth it and you are enough. And there are people out there that love you and want to help you through these times.
Yep. And if you don't know why you're supposed to be here, it'll be revealed to you when the time is there.
Sometimes it's in the middle of the storm that it's revealed to you.
Yep.
Sometimes it's after the storm. Sometimes it's before it. But, it is out there. You're absolutely right. Your purpose will be revealed to you. Ask for it. It. Why am I here? Why have I had to go through all this shit? Why am I struggling? Why am I dealing with pain and all these things? Ask for it. I promise you it'll be revealed to you.
Yep, I completely agree. Well, I think we're about at the hour and 20. I hope somebody gets something out of it, because it's so true. It really is. I can't thank you enough for coming on and doing this with me. I'm glad you invited me to do it, and I think it's important, and for me it's great because Mondays traditionally suck, and it's good to get that pickup on Tuesday.
Yes, I agree. It's a perfect day for it.
So, and anybody out there is listening, if you're still in the military and you want to know a little bit about how you can help your spouse, your first deployment coming up, or whatever, man, reach out to either one of us. We both have experience on that side of the house, and we can give a lot of good advice.
Yes, anytime. Anytime.
All right. Well, I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody out there takes something and becomes more productive for tomorrow, and repeats that every single day until you're finally to where you need to be. and just take it one day at a time.
Every day is a new day, and don't drop your keys in the trash can at the gas station.
At least make sure nobody's YouTubing it.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Y'all take care. Be safe.
Bye, guys. Have a great night.